Hey everybody, my name is Shawnee Wissanant. I am the Chief Butter Ambassador here at Begin with Butter. And today we are reimagining how we go about this YouTube thing. First of all, you're going to see things kind of happening in real time. That's one thing that I love about this more informal kind of cooking show thing that we're doing here at Begin with Butter on the YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be showing you how to prep mise en place for a pound cake. And while we're doing that, as I'm walking you through that, I am going to tell you 5 things you probably don't know about Begin with Butter. So, let's go. As you can see, I have a bunch of containers. I have my sugar, I have my flour, I have my eggs, I have my butter out, I have my butter for my pan out. I have it all out, right? When I say prep your mise en place before you bake, this is exactly not what I'm talking about. What I'm actually talking about when I say prep your mise en place before you bake is that all of your ingredients need to be ready to, for lack of a better term, dump and go. That means that your ingredients are not just out, but they are actually prepped. Or when the recipe says, add your flour, your leavening, and your salt are already ready to dump. That's not the point where we're measuring stuff. The second thing I want you to remember about mise en place as I do it is I use this. I recommend that everybody use this as they are prepping their mise en place to go for whatever you're baking, right? This, friends, is a digital kitchen scale. This one's from OXO. In the comments below, I will link that scale. I will link my absolute favorite beginner scale, which is the Oziri Pronto. You'll have all those links. Today, let's just chat. All right, I'm going to start my mise en place by measuring my flour and my salt. For this particular cake, if you can believe it, there's absolutely no leavening beyond my flour and my salt. We're going to pump air in there with some techniques and also with a specially bubbly ingredient. This is Black Girl Magic, the Sparkling Brute. And yes, friends, today we are making my champagne pound cake. Again, you can find the link right below. All right, so let's start measuring some stuff. As I said, mise en place is really the whole process of prepping your ingredients to go. So that means I am measuring out everything that needs to be measured. I have everything together that needs to be together. It is not in a container like this, like my little McCormick vanilla. No, my McCormick vanilla is going to be measured and ready to pour. So the first thing I'm going to do is prep my flour. Like I said, my champagne pound cake, which is what I'm making here, the link will be below, so all of the measurements will be below. For those of you who really love baking with imperial measurements, there is a way to convert my champagne pound cake to imperial measurements. The difference between imperial and metric, you might ask, is very simple. Metric is the measures that uses grams, kilograms, and whatnot. Imperial is the one that typically uses cups. So as I said, I'm preparing my dry ingredients, and I'm going to set that to the side. I'm not even going to sift yet. One of my favorite leavening tricks is to sift right before I start adding my flour to my cake. That's actually one of my favorite tips. Next up, we have our sugar. And like I said, I'm going to put my sugar in its final container before it's heading into the cake. And I'm just going to set it to the side like I did everything else. I have so much fun playing with sugar. I don't think people realize that there are a lot of ways that you can zhuzh up sugar in order to use it in a recipe. I've been known to add vanilla beans. I've been known to add all kinds of zest to my sugar. It's just such a fun thing to think about different ways you can conceptualize basic ingredients. And so I love doing that. The next part is not typically my favorite. Those of you who know my business and you know it's called Begin with Butter, this might be a little bit of a surprise to you. I do not like the texture of raw butter in my hands. I know, right? The irony of being called Begin with Butter and not liking the texture of butter in your hands. And the crazy thing is, I love this butter. This is Vermont Creamery. And I love it. I absolutely love working with this ingredient, but for some reason, ever since I was a kid, I've not loved working with raw butter. The texture of it just, I don't know what it is. I love the taste. I love the smell. I love everything about it except for that texture between my fingers. And so that is the number one thing. Number one, not so well known thing about me that you will find. Let's see. Second thing I want you guys to know as we are going along here. Well, first of all, the second thing I do with the butter, as I'm prepping all of my other ingredients, I put butter in my pan to help prep my pan for the actual pound cake itself. As it's sitting in here, it really softens beautifully so that when I'm ready to prep my pan for my pound cake, again, it's ready to go. We stand a good like add and go in the Begin with Butter kitchen. And so things that make it easier to add and go, that's what I'm always going to go for. The next thing I need is my eggs. This pound cake in particular uses 6 eggs. These eggs are from my friends at Sylvan Aqua Farms. One thing I am really getting into in the year of our Lord 2024 is using farm fresh ingredients and buying in season. Guys, your ingredients make such a huge difference in the outcomes of your baking, right? So my eggs are, oh, got a little shell in there. My eggs are room temperature. They've been sitting out a couple of hours, which is fine for them. Oops, wrong container. My eggs are room temperature, and I'm gonna break 6 eggs into this bowl. The reason that I break 6 eggs into another bowl besides my mixing bowl is exactly what happened. If you get a little shell in here, no problem. But if you crack an egg over something that's already mixing, good luck finding the shell until the very person who's eating the cake that you want to love the cake chomps down on that shell. Super unpleasant. Don't wish that on anybody. So I always break my eggs or crack my eggs and put them into a separate container before they go into my batter. It's an additional dish, yes, but one thing I try to do with all of my cakes is not create steps that create anxiety for me. And I am consistently anxious about how things turn out. And so I always want to make sure that I'm adding steps and adding dishes that actually take away from that anxiety element. So now I have my flour and my salt. I have my sugar. I have my eggs ready. I have my butter ready. So now it is time to get into the good stuff. Second thing I wanted to share with you is that until 2014, I could not bake. Yeah, I wasn't able to bake. I was not the baker in my family. I was not the person who has baked their whole life. I was the person who, for her entire life, wanted to bake. Absolutely. But I was extremely, extremely terrible at it, to the point where it's kind of like a laughing matter whenever I said I was going to try to bake something. So until 2014, when my daughter was 3 years old, going on 4, excuse me for a moment, this is really hard. Ah, got it. Ooh, we got a little bubbly. Until my daughter was 3 going on 4, I could not bake. And I went to pick her up at school one day, and I had to see with my own eyes that there was a sign-up list. And the sign-up list was for a sugar cookie activity that the 3-year-old class was getting ready to do. And the only thing left on that sign-up list, when I arrived at school, last, by the way, was the actual sugar cookies themselves. And they needed to be in the shapes of letters so that the children could use them to practice and study their letters in a really fun way. So keeping in mind that this is 2014, and until 2014, I could not bake. Like, it just, that was not happening for me. But when you look in a 3-year-old, a cute little 3-year-old girl's eyes, and you see that they really want you to do this, you try. And so I pulled an all-nighter, I pulled off those cookies, and I gave them to her. And I will say they were excellently passable. I gave them to her, and she was so amazingly proud of those cookies, and I've been baking ever since. I realized that I really wanted to get to the nuts and bolts of baking, so I bought the textbooks, the ones that they use at the baking schools, and I baked my way through textbooks. That's how I learned. And that's when it finally started to make sense for me. Factoid number 3, my mother is the reason that I really am into pound cakes. I know a lot of you know me as someone who just really does a lot of pound cakes. The reason that those pound cakes are so near and dear to me, the reason that I do so many of them is because of my mother. She was so deliciously wonderful at pound cakes that it's like being able to work with her a little bit in my kitchen when I do make pound cake. So every pound cake I conceptualize, every one that ultimately gets made, I always say, I hope I'm making you proud, Mommy, because I really want her to be wowed by these pound cakes. And I think somewhere she is. I hope she is. So you guys see, hopefully, somebody who's engaging and fun and possibly a little extroverted. 2 things I want you to know about me that I think a lot of us have is I am a serious introvert. When I am not doing Begin with Butter business, when I'm not in front of a camera, my favorite spot is on my couch, probably playing Mario Kart and losing badly to my children. So it's really important to me to fill my battery so that I can come and be engaged with you all. But I'm a serious introvert. I'm very sensitive about the work that I put out. It takes a lot for me to develop something and then put it out into the world. And one thing I'm always so grateful for with this community is that you all are always so welcoming and sweet about everything that I put out. I do very much appreciate that. Number 5. I started Begin with Butter because I really wanted to appeal to people like me, people who felt like they'd been shut out by baking, who felt like they'd been shut out by this whole society of bakers who did not understand fully what to do in the baking kitchen, who were really frustrated by all the science, who felt like they really just wanted to get in the kitchen and make something lovely for their friends and family. I started Begin with Butter for them because I knew what it felt like to want to do, right, and not be able to do. And so Begin with Butter has grown into something that is designed to really meet everybody where they are. There is some more complex content at the Begin with Butter Home Baking Academy. Here on this platform, you'll be able to get some basics, like we just did a whole lesson about mise en place, right? You guys just learned about mise en place while I was standing here just talking. I want those of you who really want to engage with Begin with Butter to be able to do so at your level. As you go up and down in levels, there's going to be something here at Begin with Butter for you. If you want to learn a new skill, there's going to be something here at Begin with Butter to help you on your journey. Begin with Butter is one of the most welcoming places on this corner of the internet, and I'm really proud of the community that we've built. We are a community. We are several thousand strong at this point, and I am unbelievably proud to be able to say that. Begin with Butter was an idea that just generated a couple of years ago on a Sunday morning in October while my family was outside playing and I was inside cleaning. I guess you're getting a bonus 6th one. In that moment, I was able to see the fulsome, like everything that Begin with Butter was supposed to become. And I'm watching it this year start to blossom, right? I'm watching those roots get watered and I'm watching little blooms start to take root. And that I am so proud of that because it means that there is a place for every baker at Begin with Butter. I really appreciate you guys joining me for this little mise en place preparation. Look for a lot on this YouTube channel going forward. You can find information about the scale, about the prep. There's even some articles about mise en place. You can find all of that below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you can see whenever there's something new posted on this channel and you can keep up and learn at your own pace. Thanks, guys.